Tune in to the newest season of Hunt Club with Philip Culpepper on Waypoint TV. Experience the highs, lows, and extreme fun of hunting the southern turkey woods. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Waypoint TV. Don't miss My World with Mike Iaconelli as he spends a day on the water and in the world of some of the best professional athletes Mondays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Waypoint TV.
And we even had kids literally receiving chemo, getting injections, and casting a fishing pole at the same time. So it's just something we do to distract them from their diagnosis, and it really works.
Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer Podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing and the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your host, Master Captain Angie Scott.
All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Woman Angler and Adventurer Podcast. I have another exciting guest on with me this week. I'm excited to talk about this program. I've got the founder on with us this week, Jake from Angling for Relief. We met at ICAST briefly, and I got to hear just a little bit about what this organization is, and it's a super cool concept. So I definitely wanted to have Jake on the show so he can talk a little bit more about it and kind of get the word out. So people that might not know about Angling for Relief, what you do. So Jake, I'll kind of let you take it away if you wouldn't mind, just introduce yourself and kind of talk about how this whole thing got started.
All right. So I'm Jake Klopfenstein. I'm a 17-year-old senior at Plant High School. And when I was in kindergarten, I met a boy named Ryan Baker through one of my school's church programs called the 8th Grade Angels, where we would sit with the 8th graders during Mass. And our groups are like, we created a little friend group out of that. And we would meet at Red Robin's every week. And that's when I kind of started to get to know Ryan and learn what a good person he was. And then a year later, he was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, a form of bone cancer. And we kind of just noticed that him and his family were never out and having fun. And when they were out, they weren't having as much fun because they were suffering silently. And a few years later, we wanted to change that. We wanted to make that situation a little bit better for people suffering just like the Bakers did. And we decided to do that through fishing. And at first, we were looking for organizations in our area that introduce fishing to pediatric cancer patients. And I would have just worked with that organization a lot. But we never found anything like that. So we decided that we would just do it ourselves, make our own organization. So Angling for Relief was born. And through that, we created 2 programs. One program's called the Dry Fishing Kit, and we bring it into the hospitals. It's a little tackle box with a small 2-foot Zebco rod. And the Zebco rod has a little bobber attached to it so they can just cast and retrieve and practice that while they're in the hospital room. And we even had kids literally receiving chemo, getting injections, and casting a fishing pole at the same time. Wow. So it's just something we do to distract them from their diagnosis, and it really works. We're all fishermen in my family, so we understand that, and you're a fisherman too, yeah. And anyone listening is a fisherman, and you understand that when you have a fishing pole in your hand, all you're thinking about is fish, and where's the next fish? How am I going to catch the next fish? You're not worried about what's happening in reality. Yeah. So that's kind of the meat and potatoes of it. But we also have another event that involves the families more. It's called the Fishing is Relief events. And we take out maybe 20 families, 15 families, and pair each kid up with a volunteer. That's usually a certified captain in the Tampa Bay area, or at least an expert fisherman in the area. And we just let them free, give them bait, rods, tackle, and they can take all of it home afterwards so they can fish on their own. And these events are at like ponds, lakes, seawalls, piers, wherever we can find an area to gather a bunch of people to fish.
Very cool. So I kind of wanted to touch on, why fishing. You kind of talked about it a little bit. I mean, it sounds like your family is just, that's what you guys do.
Yeah.
And you're so right. You know, when you're thinking about fishing, it's like sometimes I compare it to even like golf. When you're out on a golf course, you know, you're only thinking about your next shot, you know, and fishing is kind of the same thing in that you're just that's for a lot of people, it's their release, because when
Absolutely.
you're out on the water, you're just focused on, you know, fishing. You're not thinking about all the other things that we deal with in life. And so I think it's a great idea that you were able to kind of pair up your personal passion with a way to help these kids that are going through such, you know, scary times, really, giving them a way to kind of escape even when they're in a hospital setting. I know you mentioned when we met at ICASR that it has not been without some challenges, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges you've had to face and overcome?
So the biggest challenge as an organization was most definitely the pandemic, COVID-19. We weren't able to get into hospitals, and we weren't able to have large gatherings. And you couldn't even have large gatherings of like normal unaffected people, let alone cancer patients that really can't even get the common cold, and it's detrimental to them if they do. But what we did to combat that was actually pay charter captains, because they were still running during COVID. We paid charter captains to take out families, and we would send out all the families that we know, and we would just put them on boats so that they were able to have some fun fishing experience. And it's really a true fishing experience. It's much more authentic than the pier fishing and stuff. So we have kept that as part of the organization, of course.
You have these events that you mentioned, you talked about. Is it kind of a progression a lot of times where like a kid starts out getting introduced to it with the dry fishing kits, and then once they get to a point where they're able to do some more kind of hands-on experiences, they're able to participate in the like actual on the water events, or how does that usually work?
So people, it's really cool because people will come in from all different parts of that story. A lot of the kids, I will work with them in the hospital, and then they will get invited out to those events. But sometimes we'll just get word from families that aren't in the hospital that they want to go to these events. And we cater to bereaved families, siblings, parents. So they don't need to be in current treatment to go to those events.
Gotcha.
But I would say, yeah, that the point of the organization is to like introduce them to fishing with that kit, and then practice their skills at those events, and then master those skills while they're on the boats.
Very cool.
Fishing.
Do you have a lot of kids that maybe had prior fishing experience, or is this a lot of kind of a first time introduction for a lot of them?
We have multiple. So we have some people that have never fished before, never even seen a fishing rod. And then we have some other people that usually the people that just come to the Fishingers Relief events, they're the ones that know how to fish and love to fish. And they just happen to be a cancer affected family that loves to fish.
Gotcha. Very cool. So right now, though, you're mostly focused just in, you mentioned Tampa, so kind of the Tampa area. Is that correct?
Yes, we're definitely Tampa oriented. But when I go to college, I'll try my best to do the dry fishing kits in the hospital on campus.
Okay.
And we also are slowly expanding. We have an event October 8th. Well, I'm talking about the Salt Strong one.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
But whatever. So we have one in like Central Florida, so we can see the families there. And then also October 8th, we're having an event in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yep, at a private pond with some of the ex-Skills Pro staffers putting that together.
Okay, cool. You mentioned Salt Strong, so you work with them?
Yeah, we work with Salt Strong. Not too much, but they are giving us full access to their property on the water.
Oh, cool.
And they feed the fish too, so it's really cool. That'll be an amazing event.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I know those. I've had Joe on the show before, so Great guys. I actually did not run into him at ICAST. Every year I go, we somehow run into each other. I did not see him this year. I'm sure he was there.
Yeah, he was.
Well, very cool. So it sounds like you've got some possibilities for starting to expand, which I think is great. Would you like fishing and hunting information and tips from experienced outdoors women? Want to learn more about outdoor gear that works for you? Want inspiration and try to find something new in the outdoors? Then subscribe to Adventurous, the only women's hunting and fishing magazine. Adventurous is a high-quality print magazine you'll be sure to love, and it makes a great gift for other outdoors women and youth. Subscribe at adventurousmagazine.com. What can people do that are listening, that if somebody's listening, they want to help out? What's the best thing that somebody could do to help you guys?
The easiest thing is donations. Our website is www.anglingforrelief.org, and there's a place to donate there. You can also donate on our Facebook, which is just Angling for Relief. But anyone in our area or in Dallas, Texas, or Central Florida that is an experienced fisherman and would like to come volunteer at one of those events, let us know. I'm pretty sure you can get into contact with us on the event or on the website, Instagram and Facebook, all Angling for Relief. Yeah, so just come into contact with us, let us know you want to volunteer, and we'll get you set up.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to for sure put links to the website and also the social media platforms so people can just click a link and give you guys a follow and check out the website as well. So I'll make it as easy as possible. I know you mentioned a couple events coming up. Is there anything else that you'd want to mention?
So another thing that people can do to help, I didn't mention this earlier, but what we're trying to do is find another person like me in either the Tampa Bay area or near that can come into the hospitals and do that dry fishing kit, because I'm going to college and we need to find young kids that are willing to do the same thing and keep the mission going. Very
cool. So how does that kind of work? So you bring the kit and you just kind of show the kids how to use it and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so we go to the infusion center. So I see like 3 to 4 patients each visit, which is like 3 or 4 hour visit, whatever. It depends. But I'll bring 5 kits in, come into the infusion center, and exactly what you say, teach them to use the kit. But mostly what we do is just like talk, because the kit is kind of for when there's nothing else to do. Mm-hmm. It's like something to do instead of picking up social media or scrolling for hours, watching YouTube videos. It's just a lot healthier of a way to distract yourself than social media and instant gratification and whatnot.
Yeah, very cool. So yeah, hopefully if somebody's listening and somebody who would be interested in helping out to actually do some kind of boots on the ground work with the dry fishing kits, that would be incredible. So yeah, I mean, I love the whole concept of this, and hopefully, we'll just continue to get the word out and get more support, so that way you can continue on and even, possibly expand further in the future and do some more events. It's all
absolutely appreciate that.
Yeah, very exciting stuff. So thank you for, not a lot of young kids are, doing things like this, like, working with people that aren't quite as privileged or going through a hard time. Kudos to you for kind of seeing the need and making this happen. That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, and I couldn't do it without my mom, of course. She's my business partner.
Yeah, and your mom's in the background. Mom, you want to say anything?
Yes. So, I mean, Jake's right. It is definitely a collaboration of the community. We've had so many people, other nonprofits, also, and companies based out of Florida that have been very generous and helping. And without their support, we could have never even been able to reach the number of patients and families that we have been able to reach. And I do want to add one thing about our Fishing is Relief events that Jake probably can't appreciate just because he's not a parent. But as a parent, I love our Fishing is Relief events because these mothers and fathers get to just show up. They don't have to think about constantly being on and entertaining their children and teaching their children. They get to sit back and just watch their children have fun because the volunteers, we've got it all. One of our most recent events, it just tickled me to hear the mothers. There were a group of about 3 mothers, and the volunteers were totally making over the mothers too, taking the fish off of their hooks and then putting new bait on. And the mothers were saying, nobody ever makes a fuss like this over us. This is so nice. So it's really good to see that it's not only there to help distract the children who are going through cancer or still dealing with the after effects of cancer, because it really is never over, unfortunately. That the side effects go on and on and on. But also to see that the parents get a little bit of relief. And we provide all of the food, we provide, sun protection, so they really can, other than, maybe needing to bring medicine, they really can just show up and just spend 4 hours being able to enjoy their family and bond with others that have been going through a similar battle as themselves.
Very cool. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because that is an important aspect of it too. Because the parents go through a lot, obviously, when you have a child going through something like that. So yeah, very cool. And I'll give a shout out to all the volunteers and captains that step up and come out for these events. I think that's awesome too.
It really is, because these are typically on Saturday mornings and they could be out running a charter, and they choose to come to our events and work with these families for free instead. And actually my most recent sign up, because I'll send out a link to all of our past volunteers with a registration for the next event. And the first 4 people who registered were previous captains that have worked with us. So it's just, it's a great community. The fishing community has just been very supportive.
I love it. And you're in the fishing capital of the world, so that's helpful too.
It is.
Well, very cool. Well, I just want to thank both of you for taking some time out to share about Angling for Relief, and I hope we'll get some more people interested in supporting it, and maybe some more volunteers as well.
Absolutely. And thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk to your fans. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you guys so much.